So these videos are mostly positive. They're about the joy and the support and the love that's involved in parenting transgender kids. And I've realized I can't talk about that side without talking about the other side. The side that makes it hard or can make it hard for a transgender kid or person to be in this world, and that makes it hard for them to be their parent. In Texas right now, there are many anti-trans bills in our Texas House and Senate targeting transgender children. It's hard for me to understand because children, and I've learned it's just part of a national culture war in this divided country that we have. And conservatives are throwing stuff against the wall, see what'll stick. Marriage equality, bathroom bill, attacking transgender kids. And that's what's sticking right now. For some reason, that is what is resonating right now in our country. So right now in Texas, there are several bills that are active and that fall into two main categories: sports and healthcare. So for sports, there's a few bills that would mandate that kids play on sports teams that correspond with their biological sex. So transgender boys would be forced to play on girls' teams, and transgender girls would be forced to play on boys' teams. So there's so many things wrong with this. For one, there are not legions of transgender children looking to infiltrate t-ball teams or volleyball teams or whatever teams. There's just not that many. So it's just not an issue. And kids just want to belong. Transgender kids are just like any other kid and want the same rights as any other kid to be able to play on a sports team. And it's humiliating enough to be told that you are othered and have to play on a team that doesn't correspond with who you are. But these bills also open the doors to anyone can accuse a child of not being who they say they are, which is devastating and humiliating, and opens the door for physical exams on children. How traumatizing, and without children, which is horrible. So that's the sports side, and I'm glad it's getting exposure in the news and that athletes are speaking up, and that's great. And then the other side is healthcare, which is also devastating. There are a few categories in that as well. The big one is that these bills would classify providing and promoting transition-related care as child abuse. So that would target the parents, and that would target any medical professional providing that kind of care. So who do you think is going to be providing care in that environment? What parent would be asking for that kind of care in that environment? What child would be? So that is silencing so many people, most of all the kids. The kids will not be able to speak up and speak their truth and be who they are. As I understand it, there's one bill in particular that was moved to the family code versus the criminal code right before it was heard in public for testimony in the committee, which means that children could be taken away from their parents by CPS if their parents were found out to be giving and helping to provide transition-related care, which is terrifying. Another side is that there are bills that would revoke doctors' licenses and their liability insurance for providing this kind of care. So what doctor, what medical professional would be doing this if their livelihoods are at stake? I think that would be a really hard decision if you were a doctor. So these bills attack the very existence of transgender children. and denies them choices such as puberty blockers that help buy time for children to figure out who they are and for parents to figure this out too and make plans. And then after that, it denies them affirming medical care, in many cases, life-saving medical care. And this, remember, this is all about children. This is attacking children. So being transgender is not a fad. It's not a phase. It's not something that kids are making up. No one is manipulating anyone. Doctors are not pushing these treatments. I can tell you from personal experience that seeking gender-affirming care is not easy. It's not taken lightly. It's a hard road. It is emotional. It will turn your world upside down. It is expensive. It's time-consuming. And in our experience, in every step of the way, my child had to explain who they are over and over and over again. So parents would not put their children through that. Children would not choose to go through that, and doctors would not put everybody through that if it weren't real. And there are people out there who are saying that it's not. No one is doing surgeries on 8-year-old children, which is another claim that I have heard. It just doesn't happen. When surgeries are done, like on my child, it's not very often really done on minors, and when they are, it's on older teenagers. And let me tell you, it's with a team of professionals, and it's a long road. It is not something that we woke up overnight and said, oh, you're transgender, let's go ahead and get you surgery tomorrow. As you can tell, I'm a little worked up because these are the stories, these are the myths that are being told right now. So you can understand why these hateful and very personal attacks affect my family, even when I don't have minor transgender kids anymore. And you can understand why I have friends who are making very real plans to move out of Texas if these bills go through. And you can understand why I am furious that my children's existence, their identities, are being called into question by lawmakers who have no business in my family's medical business. And because I'm me, there's good news. There is some joy. Texans, you have a voice, as does everybody. If you are affected by these bills personally or professionally, which is important, please consider testifying. You can go to Austin and testify in person against these bills. You'll have 2 minutes to talk and say your piece. Everybody has that right, which I just sort of realized recently. You can testify with written testimony and submit that. And that's super easy to do if you can't make it up to Austin, and which is understandable. Not everybody has that capability. And anyone can contact your state senators and your representatives and tell them that you oppose these harmful bills. And really the big push right now is to contact the House Speaker, Dade Phelan, who has the power to stop these bills before they get to the House floor or going through the House at all, because that's where we have a chance right now of getting these bills squashed. More good news. We have an amazing community out there who is fighting against these bills and fighting for our children and fighting for the rights of LGBTQ people and of transgender people. Neil and Indigo and I have been up to Austin and have testified against these bills, and we have found a second family, a community that supports each other and loves on each other and has shoulders to cry on, and moms who hugged my child after they heard horrible, hateful testimony against who they are. And so they're out there, they're working, they're fighting day and night, 24/7. And I will provide links that you can go to great organizations who provide us education and information about these bills and how you can help, and really super easy ways to help. And they will literally hold your hand through the process because they've helped our family. And finally, there is love and joy and support for transgender children and their families. I have seen the love in parents' eyes and heard it in their voices when their hearts were breaking in public in front of these committees in the Texas Senate and in the Texas House. And while it was heartbreaking to see, it means that there's love and there's affirmation in those houses for those children. And that gives me hope. It gives me hope that my children are able to be normal college students and have normal college friends, and like going and playing outside in the snow in midnight in April in Massachusetts, or going on a scavenger hunt dressed like Scooby-Doo and the gang on the UT campus. So my kids are okay, and we're all a little tired, and we're all a little bruised, and we're taking care of ourselves, and we will keep fighting. And I hope you will too. So friends, as always, love and support your kids. Thank you.